Risk of Rain is a very unique roguelike. It does a lot of things that are just very different and interesting that a lot of other roguelikes don't really do. For example, like Enter the Gungeon and Binding of Isaac, they don't really do a lot of the things that Risk of Rain kind of does in general. They don't really do anything like right or wrong, but they do things that are special and unique to this game that not a lot of other roguelikes kind of do. So, for example, one of the biggest things of Risk of Rain is that your timer is your difficulty. So, the longer you take in a level slash area slash run, the harder the game will be. The game starts out very easy, but then it goes to some crazy difficulties like I see you or ha 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 ha, which is really crazy. And if you spend more time, it'll get harder. So the game kind of prevents you from getting too overpowered to get to be so more powerful than the enemy. And so what it does to balance out is it increases difficulty the more time you spend. But the game really doesn't have an end to it. You could literally explore and be as overpowered as you want and do whatever you want whenever, honestly, because you don't have to go to the end level if you don't want to. Before the end level, the game asks you, would you rather go to the end level or do you want to visit previous areas? And you can go to previous areas to get even more powerful or to get other achievements, or if you want to unlock an item or character that you didn't, then it's a great opportunity to do so, which is a really cool aspect that I haven't seen any other game do. But the fact is, if you revisit these areas, the price for things as well as the enemies and the bosses get harder. And so look, there's even 2 bosses for each teleporter every time you revisit an area. So yeah, the game gets harder, but you get more stuff and become just as capable to actually face these challenges and difficulty increases and all that stuff. So yeah, the game pretty much has one concept. It's find the teleporter, and then once you find the teleporter, you have to stay alive for 90 seconds, or if you're playing on the higher difficulty, it's 120 seconds. Defeat a boss, and then you have to defeat all the enemies that are on the field. Once you do that, you move on to the next area until you get to the final area or revisit other areas like I said before. And so the game has its own difficulty as well. So not just the timer has difficulty, but the game has difficulty along with it, where there are 3 different difficulties. You have Drizzle, which is the easiest, Rainstorm, which is medium, and then Monsoon, which is the hardest. And so each difficulty kind of changes your experience a little bit. So for example, Drizzle will give you a good amount of starting money so that you could buy some things early on, but it won't have enemies that frequently, as well as the difficulty won't increase as much. So for Drizzle, it might be from going to very easy to easy, it might take 5 minutes, but then for Rainstorm, it might take 4 minutes, and then for Monsoon, it would be something like 3 or 2 minutes that it will take from the difficulty to increase, which makes the game a lot harder as less time elapses. I think there are also other differences as well. I think your HP might be different, or it takes more experience to level up, but I might be wrong about that. Haven't really checked too much into it, as I'm only 60% done with the game. So yeah, but yeah, each character, there are different characters in this game, and each character is very unique and different to it. Going back to Enter the Gungeon and Binding of Isaac, each character was kind of the same. Like in Binding of Isaac, most of the characters shot tears out of their eyes as their projectile. Most of them did. And then for Enter the Gungeon, every character kind of just shotguns and kind of had the same moveset and all that stuff, except for, let's say, the Bullet, who has the melee weapon. But in Risk of Rain here, every character really is unique and different from each other. So you have the Commando, which has like your basic character, your first character you unlock, has a lot of just guns and shooting, and he has a role that kind of makes him invincible, but that's about it. So he's very standard and very basic. But then you have other characters like the Engineer, for example, who can put down turrets, can put down mines. He shoots like 3 little grenade things, and also is able to shoot out like homing missiles, which is a lot different than Commando. And then you have other characters like a chef, a miner, a mercenary who attacks with a sword. You have this thing called an acrid, I think, or arcid, and it attacks by biting, as well as like putting down acid and poisons to attack its enemies by slowly killing them with poison and stuff like that. So each character is really different, and it's really cool seeing the different, or playing as the different characters and seeing how they play. And some are better than others, like usual, but there isn't really, in my opinion, there wasn't really one that was more overpowered. They just had their own unique moveset, and it was just a lot of fun kind of experimenting with the different synergies that you can get with the items that you find. And this game really does have a lot of cool items and synergies that you have to unlock throughout the game by doing different achievements and stuff like that. But there's also, of course, the ones that you start off with. And yeah, there's a lot to unlock and a lot to explore, as there's also these other things called artifacts, which can change how the game is played. There's like an artifact called Glass that you deal 500% more damage, but you take, I think, like 50% more damage or something like that. It's something, or you have 10% health. That's it, and it just makes the game so much more different and such a different experience than what you're used to. You also have the Command artifact, which gives you the ability to choose your items. So every, I think, enemy or some enemies will drop chests, and in those chests you can decide what item that you want, making the game more or less of a roguelike and more of a kind of choose your adventure type of game. And it's really cool how they do that. And I think that's how they do it in Risk of Rain 2, but I could be wrong about that. It might just be the same thing with the artifacts, and I don't know. But yeah, there also is Risk of Rain 2. I haven't played that, but I'm definitely excited to play it when I get my hands on it, as apparently it's just a 3D remake of Risk of Rain 1 here, which is amazing. And yeah, it's honestly just such a fun experience, just going around, attacking enemies, finding new items, kind of making the best use of your time as the difficulty increases as the time goes, and just finding artifacts, finding new characters as well, which I unlocked all the characters, but it was a challenge to get some of them. As like the mercenary, you had to like beat the game 5 times. The Arcid, you had to like find him in the upper right corner of with only the drizzle difficulty in the 3rd level or something crazy like that. So yeah, I had to look them all up though, but it was fun unlocking them. But yeah, there's also different types of ways to get items. So there's the shop, there's chests that are scattered around. There are these like little temple things where you have to destroy 5 little enemies, and then once you do, you get an item. Then there's also these other shrines that if you go up to them, you have a chance of getting something. but sometimes you won't get it. It's cheaper than chest, but because of that, you only have a chance to get something, but you're not guaranteed to get something. And you won't always get an item. Sometimes you'll get experience, or sometimes you'll get health or something like that. So yeah, and there's also turrets that you can buy as well that'll kind of do the battling for you, or they're like um, little pets to kind of attack for you. So yeah, there's also that. And there's also these randomizers, or not really randomizers, but there's these question mark shops that are just one question mark, and then it'll be a, it's not, you can kind of choose it. It's similar to like when you inhale two abilities in Kirby, and you're kind of like, it's like a wheel of like abilities that you can choose from, and it's kind of similar to that, where it'll flash a bunch of items, and then, but very slowly, or it starts out slowly, but then it gets faster, and then you can choose which item you want, which is similar to the command ability, but you don't really get to choose it as or as easily, I guess you could say. So it kind of is just a random item, honestly. But yeah, overall, this is also a really cool game, or a really rewarding game, as when killing enemies, you don't only just get gold, and you have the you're guaranteed to get gold, unlike some other games, or if you fight the enemies, all you do is get gold, or sometimes get gold, or sometimes get an item. In this game, you're always guaranteed gold, but you also get experience. And so the game kind of has that aspect of either you're spending time collecting collecting experience by defeating these respawning enemies, while also increasing the difficulty, but you are also increasing level to match up with the difficulty that is increasing. And so you level up and you get more health, or you get more max HP. You also do more damage, and you might have more defense. I don't really know. It might be, it might not be, but either way, it's really cool that I don't really see that in many roguelikes itself, but a leveling up aspect, like not even like other roguelikes, like Dead Cells, for example, doesn't really have. Actually, no, Dead Cells does have a level up system. But yeah, it's similar to Dead Cells, where it does have. It doesn't really have. Well, Dead Cells doesn't really have a level up system. It's more of a scroll system where you can choose what to level up. But in this game, you level up and all your stats kind of go up. But yeah, it's really cool that it has that aspect, and it has that rewarding type of enemy thing, where going back to Dead Cells, if you kill an enemy, all you really do is get gold. But the only way to level up is by collecting those scrolls, which sometimes you can get from an enemy drop, but it's very rare, or it's only like really hard enemies to get those scrolls, similar to like a boss or a mini boss. But in this game, it's any enemy you can get experience from, and then that experience increases your level, and it helps you be stronger and are more capable of fighting these higher enemies, and the difficulty increasing, and all this crazy stuff. And yeah, this game gets really intense, especially later on. You're just kind of mashing the ZR button, well, in my case ZR button, if I'm playing, I've been playing on the Switch, so yeah, ZR, ZL, L, and R are the buttons that are used, and you're kind of just spamming them at certain points, because you're kind of like not really knowing what's going on, because a lot of stuff is kind of brought to you. And it's not really a bullet hell at all, it's kind of just crowd control, because a lot of the enemies don't really attack with guns or any stuff like that, and some of the characters, like I said before, that you play as don't really attack with guns as well, and a lot of them are kind of just up and personal and attacking you head on, and some the characters you can attack from range, and it makes things a little useful, but most of them usually have guns, and you're just kind of spamming all the buttons, honestly, to just take them all out and do what you can. There's also these active items, which are your B button if you're playing it on the Switch, and these active items can help you as well, and adds like another ability. Like there'll be one that like doubles your attack. Like you'll have like a mirrored self of you to attack twice as often, or you'll have one that sets down a bunch of mines that do a bunch of damage, or one that sets off a bunch of like rocket launchers that shoot at all the enemies, or other stuff like that, which are really good, but they take a long time to recharge and stuff. Like it takes, I think, some of them it's like 40 seconds or 50 seconds to get that active item back. So yeah, and there's a lot of different, like I said before, active slash passive items as well that are very unique and different from each other, and there's a lot of unlocking to do to get them, and it's not just one character that can unlock them all. There'll be certain achievements as well that are for certain characters that you have to play as, and it might even be certain artifacts too. I could be wrong about that though, but some artifacts do make it easier to unlock certain achievements slash unlocking items than others. So yeah, and it's honestly just I can't even speak. It's honestly just been a really fun game that I've played. I recently got into this game just because my friend kind of told me about it, and he knew that I liked roguelikes a lot, and he told me to try it, and I really wasn't disappointed. It really is a fun game, and I'm glad I did give it a try, and it was a lot of fun. I do have to admit, I've had a lot of fun with this game, and I probably still will. I'm only 60% done with the game, so I still have 40% more left of it, and I haven't really used all the characters too much. I've used them all at least once, but I haven't used some of them as much as I want to, as well as unlocking stuff and finding the other artifacts and playing with the different artifacts and turning on and off certain artifacts to really change up the gameplay and how I play. And it's just really cool how there's like so many different aspects and so many different ways to play this game, and it's just, like I said before in the beginning of this video, it's such a unique and different roguelike that I've honestly never seen before. And honestly, I'm really excited to play the Risk of Rain 2 when I buy that, which I probably will buy soon because this game has been a lot of fun. And Risk of Rain 2, I heard, is even better than this, so yeah. Anyway though, so that is my review on Risk of Rain. If I were to give it a score, probably give it 8.5 out of 10, maybe 8. I don't know. It's a really fun roguelike, don't get me wrong, but like, I don't know. It's like nothing, it's special, but it's like nothing really, I guess, kind of skillful, because it's a lot of just spamming buttons, honestly. But I do really enjoy it, and although to be honest, I have been getting, or I'm not really that into it as much as I was when I first played it. It's definitely a game that I would like to come back to and play, similar to Enter the Gungeon and Binding of Isaac. But I do have to admit, it is still a great game. 8.5 out of 10 or 8 is still really good. So yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. That's my review on Risk of Rain. And make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for more reviews right here on Tone Deck. Bye.